it in there for sure. But anyway, yeah, I love it because I can't tell you how many times I have one of this sit on the table, and I bump the table, the radio falls over, and you have no idea what it is. Yeah, because I'm like, these radios, this is some of my favorites. For you to have a darn on you, you can take it back.
That's what I is that it just
Yeah, I go to RCW meetings and the nice living room here. Yeah. Yeah. But I can't do because I drive up to Clearmont. Matter of fact, I'm the guy that does the things now. Yeah.
I want to thank you.
Yeah.
You did fulfill that a little bit. I went by my own.
You got your own now.
And antenna has been tweaked about Valentine's. So, I've got that because I like that too.
Good.
Because people that president
Single radio.
by the first vice president.
By the way, I have them. The shield
Director
radio.
gave me an article.
It's not often, it's like 2 radios.
Absolutely. He's got to have something that has a
It'd be nice stuff to hear.
I want to get a radio with this full duplex.
Format, so they're all the same font.
Something like that.
My good side, it's just a tiny little bit.
You got 3 fonts on the
Yes.
same page.
You want it, as tight as center.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
It just works.
That's how you want it.
It was, I had it over.
Like some of mine that I get. Yeah.
I did some weird stuff. All of a sudden, now what about my right foot? And my reactance is up perfect on the first one.
Well, some of my Smith charts look like,
Yeah.
one of those, Zygo things that keep going, spin it out, and look at how much you get dizzy.
Now I need to figure out if.
I had a friend of mine that worked in
Reactance
Florida, in
and
Fox City, Oklahoma.
resistance.
And I had a good friend of mine that worked.
I learned it all.
That's exactly what it is. Which mock them, you know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I had it.
They make their plate, if you will.
It matches the resistance. 50 and 50, or 52 by 52, or 49 point whatever.
Oh, okay.
By 49.
One of the closest.
As long as it's range that I say, it's green, you're clean, you're red, you're dead. You know, it's down, it's 1.0, that's the green first. Then between 2 to 3 is the yellow. And then beyond that is, so basically, you don't want to do that.
Okay. I'm on.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
With the back, forward, the infed halfway, which is what I'm playing now. And I got it set up so between two, my back, so gotta work.
So much.
It is.
It's a lot.
You get it. It's so.
It's not getting well. What happened? So I had almost really low. wasn't asked at all. Those that help in that, good.
I sold a book that was written by, through AR, yeah.
Is it a good book?
Yeah, I mean, I read about it, but then I read it cover to cover with it some years ago. I would have to read it again in order to, up to speed. The basic principle is, you got a reflector and a direct. That's all you need. Yeah, that's always a good thing. I got it. Thank you.
You're not organized. Anyway, Mark, I really will. You motivated me so much.
You got a video, you know, okay.
Oh.
Somebody pass around the pen.
You need one of these?
Good morning.
Anybody else think one? Two? You eat two? No. Never mind.
Any
How
pens
will
up?
it fly? Hey, rent them out by the minute.
Nothing much. All right. You go, Mark.
Yes, thank you.
That worked? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
You all do, I'm gonna write up a little later. I like that. Hybrid.
Mark? Oh, there you are. Yes. Now we just need to come up with an agenda.
I had a really good contact with this. So-
Well,
We'll
figure something. Yeah, we'll figure something out.
So somebody came back, one name was. Figured that was good.
And I've got 2 QR codes if people need information. Good, yeah. Perfect.
They can connect to the website, the W5IS website.
Yeah.
Under areas. And then I've got task book stuff, comms plan, and copies. If anybody needs it.
Good. Everybody have an agenda?
Yes, sir.
Anybody else need an agenda? You need another one? Is yours a PowerPoint slide?
Well, that's the question is, can I have an HDMI port or do I have to
I
have
don't
it on?
know if it works on this here. Because I've been definitely using the PC here all the time.
Okay.
That's fine. I have a PowerPoint on here, so I can.
That USB hub, did you want to plug in that last one? As soon as I'm done.
You can hear
Yeah.
me. Okay, that's fine.
So I'll pull mine out and check everything else and stay there.
That'll work.
skinny ones.
Was there somebody that needed program or are you just bringing it in general?
Yes, actually, the gentleman in the gray shirt back there, but I think he's read the manual since then, but we check with him and see if he's still. needs it. Who is it? Greg, Trickett, John Gray shirt. Yes.
Oh, this is quiet. Listen, it's a quarter of the whole. No, it's whatever,
Well, hey, and I have something for you. I bet it is.
This is all.
Where's Tom? I wouldn't have.
All right, we're gonna get this road on the show.
Great. I second that motion. Let's start the show.
Anybody else need an agenda? One more time?
All right.
Okay. All right. My name is Mark Adams, WA5MA, president of the Tulsa Amateur Radio Club. And we're going to go around and do some introductions. So, and what your title is.
Jack, W5GAC, first vice president.
Andrew, W5 AWS secretary.
Jerry, AE5 GMK treasurer.
Paul, WB5ANX, Jerry's coordinator.
James, KI5
Richie, Joe, Bravo, KL, thanks for that.
Ken, WB5BST in process.
Wait, in process of what?
Oh, you remember I got half a page to do.
Oh, okay.
It's about time too.
Yeah.
Robert, KI5, what's the Delta?
Oh, K5E8 Tim.
Tony, you're up.
KA5 TRO Tony, and I'm just here for the ride. Jeffrey, KJ7.
Dave, KJ5, JW.
Go ahead, Randy.
It's your turn.
Your turn, Randy.
I forgot my hearing aid, so I can't hear anything.
You're supposed to give your name and call sign.
Oh, my, Randy, Bruce George, W5RIP.
My partner in Poda crime.
Robbie, W5 RML.
Rich, WA5 CQG.
Greg, Alpha India 5, Hotel Victor.
Dan, K5, CAY.
Gary, KK7 HIR. Nick, K5 KLX. Eddie, KI5B.
Greg, I'm studying for my technician's license and I'm a potential.
Good. Welcome.
Yes.
KD5, RFG.
Greg, W5GTW, well, control operator, with some trustee privileges.
Mark, KD5 SMF.
Brad, WA5 PSA, and I think I'm a new guy.
KG5 UK out with potential number eight. And you got an application on it.
Yeah.
Jeff, 85 of each. Jerry, 85J.
Linda KI5 BYF.
Nate, KJ5 LDM. Roy, WK5.
Matt, KJ5MA, Barry Newby.
Mike, KG5YKM.
Dave, K5TZS.
David did 5
And our first vice president, Kai Vargas, KY5VAR, is not here tonight. He's going to be running the net tonight at 8 o'clock. Since our normal NCO is unavailable. And let's see, I guess we can jump, oh, new people. Who's new? 2, 3, 2, 3. Or you've been here before. And you're working on getting your license?
Yeah.
And you got your license, and you got your license. Did I hear somebody else say that they were working on their license?
Working on it.
Working on it, yeah, that's good.
Up to that Thursday.
That's good. All right, I like it.
Just got mine last year.
Oh, really? Wow, congratulations. Yeah. All right. Is everybody, if you're a member, is everybody getting the newsletter?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody not getting the newsletter that's a member? Make note, Jack. Well, you'll be getting yours soon enough. Yeah. Any discussion about the meeting minutes? Nope, nope. Okay, motion to approve?
Motion to approve the meeting minutes.
I think it.
W5GGW, Whiskey 5.
Good whiskey.
And second is KE5,
PHM.
KE5DHN.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nope. The June financials. Jerry, what's new?
Well, that's a difficult question.
Sinking funds up to $6,340 now. That's too much more than it was last month, $100 or so. The membership. I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but it's 192.
That's what you sent me a couple weeks ago, yeah.
And it's 193 now.
Yeah.
Just take somebody another membership.
Yeah.
94.
194, yep. And what about the rest of the general fund?
The general fund has $6,128. This is as of July 31. Well, say July 31 as of today.
Yeah.
So we've got right now a total of $13,500 in cash. Those two funds plus $1,000 and test. It's not touched until next year.
Yeah.
Should go up a little bit on the next year. Next.
Okay.
That's divided. It's $1,482 in the checking account. And, 12,135 savings. $22 paid down.
Okay,
I
good.
keep that as small as I
We appreciate that.
can.
And did you get Jack squared away?
You got me squared away.
Yep, okay.
I got my meetings.
Huh?
I got my meetings and interest.
Okay, all right. Was it $142?
That I owe back.
Yeah.
149 something.
149, yeah. Field day, we allocated a certain amount of money. I forget how much it was.
We voted
750.
Awesome numbers up there this year tonight.
Yep. Anyway, he didn't use it all. So 140 something dollars went back into the treasury.
Great.
So good. Go ahead. I know you're thinking of something else. I can see it up here.
Well, we had two things in play over there, so.
You're just gonna leave it right there.
Yes.
Leave it right there. Okay. All right. Thank you for that, Jerry. Jack, you want to go ahead and talk about your field day wrap up?
We need to approve on these.
Oops, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. Any other discussion on the financials? Any other questions? Somebody want a motion to approve?
Move approve as submitted, policy of WB5ANX.
WB5 ANX,
Second the motion.
Cole,
Eighty-five SNF.
KE5 SNF,
Yes.
KD5.
Kilo Delta 5,
Kilo Delta 5,
Sierra
Sierra
Mike
Mike.
Foxtrot. We need to sit in the middle over here.
No, you just need to call out your call sign phonetically.
There you
Instead
go.
of battling off in the corner there.
All right, all those in favor of accepting the financials?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Crickets. Now it's your turn.
All right, 10 minutes or less. So everybody come to field day this year? Everybody watch the news this year?
Yeah.
Today marks the first day of a special event that's all about cameos. Now today was the beginning of amateur radio field day at Hickey Creek Park Triplex. As you just saw there, Fox News certified meteorologist got in on the fun, Mike Rogan. Now this event is designed to showcase how ham radios work and how they're reliable to use almost anywhere. The event picks up again tomorrow morning from 8 a.m. to 11.
So not only was Fox 23 on site,
There could be a pileup over the airwaves as amateur radio operators here in Oklahoma and around North America are taking part in a field day. This yearly event connects about 2,500 stations with the goal to communicate with as many people as possible. The Tulsa
Yeah,
Amateur
that's the
Radio
whole
Club says this
idea.
isn't just a hobby,
David.
it's an important skill, especially
I
in
encourage you to
disaster
come.
scenarios.
We can communicate within the metro area, or we can communicate across the United States. And around the world. So in the event of communications that go down, we have a means of replacing that communications with ham radio.
And the club says it's a 24-hour event that goes on until 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. All of those stations are set up over at Hickey Creek Park in Broken Arrow. And as some might say over the air, that's all for the story 73 out.
all right, so we'll work on that last part later for next year, but
Yeah, was that first one from Fox?
yes,
You know, it's kind of ironically funny about that. I heard them identify Ann, K5NEB.
Yes, yeah.
You know who she works for?
Channel
Channel
2.
2.
Right.
She's an engineer for Channel 2.
Right.
So
Uh,
that made me chuckle.
Those two videos are posted online. Feel free to grab them. Please share them. It's the best way for us to get other people to see what's going on for next year and hopefully get some more people. Everybody's call sign up here had something to do with this event, whether they worked safety, photos, hydrations, go to operations, information. Maybe they were in Elmer, they did some demo or some type of seminar. So I can't say thank you enough to everybody. I hope I didn't miss anybody, but for everybody that even came out, I can't say thank you enough for that.
That's 30 people.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people to monkey around. I mean,
That's
manage.
probably not everybody, is it?
No, it's not. It's most of the people that sign up and at least did a shift. But like I said, there's a bunch of other people that were on this other list here. So we had Mark Klein come out, Mark Conklin, Mr. Plumley came out, say hi. So we got points, and more points. We had Paul there. And as always, Mark Adams. So more points for our field day. 37 TARC members actually filled out the sign up sheet that said, hey, I was there. So I really appreciate that. At least lets us see how we're doing. And then we had 8 non-members sign up. So public and others, youth, etc. And most of those that did give us an email already got a big thank you note. Please let us know how we can help bring some more ham into your life. So can't say thank you enough. So here's the nitty gritty. So those that submitted data to me, or those that put stuff in the log and stuff, gives us the ability to see stuff in a map. You can do this in real time when you're out there at field day, thanks to Greg and the team. Little comparison of 2024 data to 2025 for those that are being competitive. There's your breakout of the bands that we had for the data.
I love the contact for CW, that was pretty good.
Well,
The- That was after hours, I think, and I'm not sure. I'd have to go pull up the logs,
The
but
bands were in horrible shape.
the bands were horrible.
And they're not getting any better either.
Hey, 6 and 10 was open today, so I got to play, so I was happy.
Yeah.
At the end of all this stuff, like I said, it's not a contest, but we still try to keep the data together to see how we do year to year. This is the form that I submit at the end of the years to the ARL. This is the online part. It basically shows everything we do, that we take emergency power. We had media come out, even Mark was on there, so we shared the videos, public location. We had an information table. We did get the formal message, thanks to Jeff, as always. We also had a ton of formal messages in there, so we got points for that. And we had a survey agency, we did some educational pieces, and we had some youth out there. Safety officer has always been an awesome, easy one for us to do. We did have social media posted online, so that was easy to catch. And then we did have a go-to station where people were able to get on there. So all that translates with all the stations we operated with, we got to get a total preliminary score with the multiplier of 2 times of 3,017. So really cool to see where we're at.
What is the go to station 55? What is the 55?
I'd have to look it up. You get a certain amount for the number of participants and use, and it maps out to whatever the number is for that.
All right.
So there's your 24 data, 2,800 versus 25 preliminary is 3,000. So we just did a little bit better than last year, which is great.
All right.
And it doesn't include any of the at-home points where if you worked at home or somebody tagged TARC with their at-home points, those will show up December sometime, whenever the points are done. So we'll get those updated in for next year. So the 750, here's where the number comes down. We got the exact same cost we've got from Tulsa County for like the last 4 years of $251. I want to translate that. That's a real awesome partnership with Tulsa County because every year they have increased their price to the general public. But because we're nonprofit and we've been coming out every year, they've kept it. I'm hoping they'll keep it again next year so it keeps the price down. So there's that. Then everything else is cost for the events, whether it was us buying something, supplies, ice, water, pizza, fuel, all the rest of that stuff. And then you see the total in the breakout. So there's your breakout. Mr. Jerry's got it. So what did we really do? So we did a crash course. We had safety meetings, lots of info out there, a lot of conversations. We transmitted on those awesome bands. We did a ton of educational pieces, so many Elmerville hours that were put in there, and so much more that I can't even talk about. What's really important right now is you write down what's going on with 2026. I did get the reservation confirmed for the triplex for next year already. So if we're going to stay there, it's ours again already. If we decide we're going to move, we just got to let them know a little in advance. We'll get a sign up sheet coming up here sometime. It's never too late or early. And 27th and 28th of 2026 is it.
I'll order the good weather.
Please do. Let's talk about that. So rain, first horrible text message to get at 7 a.m. in the morning. Did cause us delays, did cause us to push stuff, did cause us to move things. So the best laid plans of months and months and months got thrown out. The maps were worthless. The bands were bad. Yeah, basically we started from scratch. And the big thing is none of this was a contest. And if you don't realize all the stuff that changed just in a matter of a few hours in the morning and the delays, it's not a contest. It's about the experience, setting up outside the norm, curveballs, operating and having fun.
It's about dealing with those kind of events.
Yeah, in real life.
Yeah.
I won't read all these things, but there's a lot of good stuff up here on some of the pre-reviews that's already come out. If you want to sit through some of the reviews, you got till midnight tonight to go online, fill it out, tell me what you thought about it, what you didn't like about it. Let's get shared with the group of the people that supported the help and anybody that wants to be on the review piece to put in information and looking into next year's field day. So cannot say enough about it. I will read the one part. Field day is supposed to be more than just another HF contest. And this was exemplified by things like TARC's presentation of Aries and Mestastic. Cannot say thanks enough for that, sir. And hopefully we'll continue to do more of those as we move on down the road. There's some more. The top one, I think we're going to take the light next year because I think it's been 2 years since we built one. I think we're going to build one next year and actually put it in the budget to do it.
Good.
There's a meeting recap. July 24th, 7 PM. It is on Zoom, so you don't have to leave the comfy house of your chair. And I will send out the recap to those that are gonna make that meeting, so just let me know and I'll get you the recap. That's gonna come out tomorrow night. Still got some of these if you want some of those. We're asking for a donation for those. I can't say thank you enough. Questions, comments, concerns?
Was there anything easy that we could have earned points for that we didn't do?
I'd have to look back through it. There's some little pieces where we have some data on GOTA that we asked for and get more precise on. I think we could have squeezed out some more points on that. There is a point we lost out for elected official not being there, like, I think like a mayor or something like that. I think there's another line for that. Other than that, there's not too much more to play with. But that'd be a good thing to come to the recap with. We'll add it in for next year.
Bomb threat, get all kinds of. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all I got unless you all have other questions. Otherwise, I'm gonna give this over
How
to
many,
Greg.
how many DX entities have we had? I know I'm on Mexico, which was a new one for me, because Mexico is pretty elusive on,
It's a little close.
any frequencies.
It's a little
I
close.
can,
I know it was 40 meters. I think.
I'll go pull the data back up because all this stuff is in there. I'll make this available to you too, so you can download the ADI stuff. That way you can import it and look and see. where it's
I
at.
have everything that I want. You know,
Well, I mean, for the whole club, I'll get it posted up there
including
too.
that station from Mexico, so.
But CW contact with it.
No, I believe it was sideband.
One person you didn't reckon, you didn't.
Is that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Great job, Jack.
Thank you, thank you.
And you know what? You get to do it again next year.
Did everybody sign this? And thanks for all the photos, everybody. You know, if you got new photos and we don't have Jack's the collector of those.
Yeah.
We got a lot of great photos.
I'll put the slideshow back up after we're done.
Yeah. Yeah, my son was really thrilled to see that he got on the news. With the GOTA station.
As long as Mark pays the bill next year, then they come back out.
Hey, if you do that good again next year, yes. Absolutely. All right. Greg, W5GGW. Talk about LifeCo batteries.
Okay, let's see what we can do here. Not that one. Okay. I copy in the wrong file. I did, didn't I?
Copy the wrong file. Oops.
The wrong format.
Wrong format.
Yeah.
Okay, in the meantime. Okay. Who came in after we did introductions? Who came in after we did introductions? Did you introduce yourself?
N5 NYT, Carol.
Thank you. Who else came in? Somebody else came in. No?
I followed him, I sat over here.
Oh, that was you.
You weren't over here.
Yeah, that's who it was. That was you. Who are you?
Jerry.
Do I need to stall longer?
Give me a second.
Who's doing that? I have a whole list, a whole bunch of pictures here of equipment that has been donated, and some of it's been donated, some of it's been requested to sell and then give the money back to the silent key. So take a look through this. There's some good stuff in here, like this. It's an old radio. It's an old TS440, but it's a good radio. I've not tried it, but my understanding is it works.
It's a very good radio. Among other things, it's rated 100% key down. It has a bunch of aluminum. I got one.
Yeah, good.
It has a bunch of aluminum in the back, and It's rated for full power key down for an hour.
That one gets you 200 in it?
Yes.
Yes, it does. Matter of fact, it does have a tune
It's a
ring.
good little tuner.
Yeah.
Built-in AT.
So if anybody's interested, let me know. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff in here too. So take a look through that and see if there's anything in there of interest to you. Greg, the floor is yours.
Okay. So tonight, what I want to do is talk about. Yeah, okay. I want to talk about lithium-ion batteries, and we're going to talk about several different types of chemistries as well, but ultimately lithium iron phosphate is what most of us have been using in all of our devices and what we have access to in many replacement battery packs and other things for our handheld devices and otherwise. And so the things that I want to talk about the most are really related to safety with bigger battery packs and some things related to how do we make sense of all of the batteries that are suddenly becoming available because the whole world has decided that lithium ion batteries is the place to make money. And so everyone is buying cells from the 3 or 4 vendors that exist in the world and building battery packs to replace everything that you can imagine. And so it's going to get pretty hairy how many different choices there are. And I just want to go over some of the details of that so that we all sort of have some hold on what's really going on. All right, so well, you know, what's here, I won't read everything, but basically the thing about lithium ion batteries is that they're lighter weight and more energy density per volume than the battery systems that we have. If you need to put something, you know, with a battery backup system somewhere that is out in the environment and places where you're not going to be all the time, you don't want to use lithium ion. You want to use AGM cells or something like that because of the sensitivity to colder and hotter temperatures that these kind of batteries have. They're really intended to be more sort of inside, and most of you all should be familiar with your phone switching off if you leave it out in the sunlight because it gets too hot, and some of those kinds of things happen, and we just don't really think about what's really going on, but it's really about the battery technology and some of the limitations around temperature that are the issue. You may be familiar with NMC and NCA designations for higher powered versions of lithium ion batteries, and those are what are in our phones and tablets and higher performance EVs and other things like that will use those batteries because they have 40% more power density available by volume than lithium ion phosphate does. And so lithium iron phosphate does. So that's the kind of thing that I want to just start with. All right, and then we all know about these nickel metal hydride and NiCad batteries that we've had for years in older devices. The things about them are that there's very specific uses for them that are still, still going on. Toyota and Honda in their base hybrids are still using nickel metal hydride because all they're doing is charging those so that your next acceleration is done off the battery instead of off the motor. All right, so they do braking to charge the battery and then start off again. The plug-in hybrids are going to have lithium batteries in them, not nickel metal hydride, because they need the power density by weight to get that much energy that you can get 40, 60 miles or more out of those. All right. So this is stuff that I took off of ChatGPT, and at the end, there's a ChatGPT link to my session where I asked all these questions. So you can go connect to that URL, see all the questions I asked, and you can ask more questions if you want to get more information or refine some of the details that are in there. And I want to make sure everyone understands that that's a good thing to have access to because it gets you a much closer, piece of information that's readily available than trying to find out on the web just using Google, where you see everybody else's comments and all the discussions and all the other things that aren't just the technology things that you want to know. All right, so if I was going to convince somebody to use lithium ion batteries, this is what I asked ChatGPT, how would I do that, right? And so some of the details here are about how, what do you have to do? Well, you have to have a smart battery system for lithium ion batteries because they need more care. have all of the flexibility that NiCad or nickel metal hydride have for just blasting charge at them, and they just, you know, work, and you use them and then you do it again. And so the battery management system does temperature protection, does overcharging, under energy, you know, if you drain them too much, all that kind of protection is in the battery management system. And now that we have little bitty computer systems on, you know, just on little bitty cards, that's easy to stick into a battery pack. So even some smaller battery packs will have very sophisticated battery management systems in them nowadays, because what we learned with some of the very early uses of lithium ion is that if you don't do that, you get into trouble, right? And so if you look at like the Nissan Leaf, their very early Nissan Leaf EVs didn't have a very good battery management system in them, and they would get too hot when you charged them or when you were driving around in hot weather, and the batteries deteriorated. And so today you can find all kinds of Nissan Leafs for sale that have 40% of the battery range that they used to have, because they've got degradation due to temperature and other mismanagement stuff. And so also, you know, if you have a lithium ion battery pack from somewhere else, you may notice that sometimes it just dies. My daughter likes little fans that used to have the 8170 cell in it, 81, whatever that cell designation is, 81910.
81650.
18650 cells, right? And so they're big fat cells about this long, and there was one cell in there. And she just would use that fan, run it all the way down, and then leave it. And then the next time she needs it, she'd try to plug it in and use it. And so the cell just dies because it's not being managed correctly. And so there's all those kinds of things that will come into play with lithium ion that we don't normally think about, how much care you need to do with lithium ion compared to what we've done before. And so that's the kind of thing that's in here. And then this is the detail about the energy density. And so you can see on that top line about watt hours per kilogram, how much more energy the NCA has, and even the NMC, than the LiPo does. And so that's the kind of thing that will control, you know, what kind of chemistry you find in your lithium battery systems, is really how much energy do you need to operate this thing before you have to charge it again. But for most of us, you know, the average consumer devices have the lithium iron phosphate battery in them. And this is just, you know, a simple comparison to NiCad for things that you can maybe get a sense of how much charge, discharge, and temperature. The temperature range is important too. You can see that NiCad goes much colder, but the same temperature as LiPo does, and on the high end. And so things like this are the kinds of things that, why I said, you know, if you want to do something outside in the weather, you probably still want to use an AGM cell, unless you get a very expensive lithium ion battery that does temperature management. And they make them. You can look online and look around and ask, you know, which BMS has temperature management in this. You know, you'll find batteries that have temperature management in them, and they'll use the battery power to keep the battery warm. So it will last for a while. If you put it on a charger, then it will still warm it too, and keep it charged. And so that's the kind of thing that we all have to get used to, a much more sophisticated need about taking care of lithium ion batteries.
So the LiPo is not toxic?
Well, so this is the deal, right? The iron and the phosphate is not anything like cadmium, right? And that's what this comparison is against, is really, when you see that, it's against cadmium, okay? And so it's not that it's not toxic, it's just that it's not near as toxic as cadmium is.
It's a lot less toxic.
Yeah, than cadmium. And so there's all these kinds of things like this that you have to sort of read into what, you know, because ChatGPT is going to say these kinds of things when it builds tables for you and does stuff, because this is the kind of thing that it's focused on. Then it doesn't look wider than what you tell it to. Okay, and so I just want to make sure everyone's familiar with these terms so that we can talk about them. We all know watts or amps times volts, and when you use wattage, the power that you can get out of a battery is what it can sustain, right? So batteries have a C rating. And so a 1C means that battery will give you that power for an hour. And if it's a 2C rating, it will give you that power for 30 minutes. And And the same thing about charging. So if you want to charge a battery faster, you charge it at a 2C power or a 4C power or 3C power if it will take that, and so there's documentation for the different battery chemistries that you can look up about this kind of stuff. And ultimately, what I wanted to get to was capacity. And so wattage is power. The energy stored inside of the battery is energy, right? It's not power only, it's power over time. And in the industry, we call that the energy the battery can store. So it's measured in watt hours or kilowatt hours, depending on the size of the battery. And so when you see those two terms, kilowatt versus kilowatt hour or watts versus watt hour, just understand that's power for kilowatt or watt, and it's energy for kilowatt hour or watt hour or amp hour, right? But many of the batteries we look at, I'll say, 30 amp hour or 50 amp hour or whatever. Well, that's because it's a battery with a fixed voltage. When you see a storage, say kilowatt hours, the idea is that, well, who knows how many amps you're pulling out of that and what voltage conversion there might be on the backside for a 5-volt device running off a 12-volt battery and things of that nature. So, you still have to do all the math to come up with how many watts is that and how many watt hours am I pulling out of that battery to get an idea of how big of a battery do you want for running for a particular amount of time. Recently, I went to visit Tim Deal's new house that he's been building for 10 years out in the sticks off the grid. And he has a complete battery system out there that will last him about 3 days, right? And so it's 8 batteries hooked up to a charger inverter that goes into his house and runs a heat pump and a couple of, LED lights everywhere, some other things like that. And so, he had to do the math to figure out how much time do I want to run. So that's how many kilowatt hours and batteries I need. And then he built a giant array because for any kind of application like this, where you're going to run off of solar cells, you want to be able to charge in a half a day. And the reason you want to do that is because in the winter, you're only going to get about half a day of useful energy. And so anytime you figure out, how much you need, you think about, okay, well, if the cell says it produces this much energy, that's bright sunlight energy. So you need to say, I need to be able to charge in basically 6 hours time, 5 to 6 hours time. I need to be able to replace the energy in my battery that I used overnight. If I can't do that, then I'm not going to sustain the values that I have in my battery. And if you're going to do something at home with lithium ion batteries, start small and figure out what you need to add to that. Because there's no point in building a giant battery system if you haven't really done the math. You'll end up in a position where you don't want to be. And something that I don't talk about on here directly, but when you look online, you'll find that there's a plethora of 12 volt, about 1/5 of that 24 volt, and about 1/10 of that again, that's 48 volt battery packs in terms of what you can get. If you're going to build something to power your house or any 120 volt AC stuff, you should go for the 48 volt battery, because the voltage lift to 120 volts is energy too, right? You waste energy doing that voltage conversion. The other part of it is and this is what's available on the market because of RVs, is 48 volt charger inverters for putting 48 volt battery systems in an RV. If you're going to build something like that at home, the reason why you want to use 48 volt batteries is because the BMS and the battery will be doing the battery pack management for you to keep the cells balanced. If you take 12 volt batteries, 4 of them are in series, and hook them up, you won't get near the energy out of those that you expect, because the ones on the back side are charging the ones on the front side. And so at any particular time, when the ones on the front side are down, are using voltage, these guys don't know anything about what you're doing. All they see is a draw, because this guy's wanting to charge. He's willing to accept a charge because he's low on voltage. And so that will create problems for you, because you may get half to a third of what you expect out of the energy out of it, because that last battery will drain and its BMS will turn it off. And just like that, you'll have no power. Okay, and here's some discussion about 1C, 2C, 3C kinds of things. And if you've never been to an old telephone switching center, if you didn't get to do that when everybody had power from the switching center running their phones, you probably never got to see a real bus bar. But in the telephone switching systems, I mean, I was in several different ones because I worked at AT&T and installed software into AT&T switches in different telephone offices. But, you know, they would have copper bars that were 10 to 12 inches tall and 2 inches wide, running around carrying all the power that they needed to get into the switch and then send out on all the telephone lines to everybody's home. And so it was a lot of energy. And so when you build a battery system, you need to think about this. You need to think about how much current am I actually going to send if I'm going to power something that with 12 volts versus 48 volts, you need 4 times the current at 12 volts that you would need at 48 volts, right? So, you know, if you don't want to build big wires, use higher voltage.
Right.
Okay. The other thing that's important is the selection of the right kind of solar charger if you're going to use solar charging to keep your battery charged. So the cheap chargers, all they do is take whatever the voltage is that's coming out of the battery, out of the solar cells, and if it's enough to charge, they'll charge. But if the voltage is low, then they won't charge. And so this is where we get into the problem of needing 5 or 6 hours to charge your batteries versus only getting 3 hours or 4 hours and not being able to keep your batteries charged up. So an MPPT charger, what it does is does the voltage lift for you. And so it will continuously draw whatever the solar cell is producing. It will do the voltage lift to make that a charging voltage, and then whatever current it can get out of lifting to that voltage and whatever the cells can provide, it will put that charge into the batteries. And so it charges for much more of the time than a cheap charger will. So anytime you're looking for a solar charger, you probably want to pick an MPPT charger to get the right charging time out of your money investment in a charger.
Greg, can I make a comment about that?
Yeah.
As you said, most of the chargers that you're going to find that are inexpensive are pulse width modulation, PWM.
Yep.
And they're great for lead acid chemistry type batteries. You can charge a lithium iron phosphate battery on a pulse width modulation charge, but it better be a very bright day.
Right. Because it's all about the voltage and the battery. Any battery system has
and you
this
really
problem.
need about a 50% loaded uplift. So for example, if you're charging a 12-volt battery, the loaded output of your solar panel should be around 18 or higher.
Yeah.
Just, experience.
Right. No. And so ultimately, think about those things. This is important. I don't really want to go down the path of building home power systems, but what I'm really talking about is if you're going to buy a battery to run your radio off of at home, or to take out for POTA or something else where you can just take the 12-volt battery, lay it out, and hook up your radio. I just want you to understand, what the deal is with the type of battery you're picking up and how you need to take care of charging it and using it. Because what you don't want to do is run it down and not charge it. And you also don't want to get it hot out in the sun, because these 50C and 60C ratings can be reached really readily. And if you just have it setting out there in the sun, it will collect an awful lot of heat. And so those kinds of things are the kinds of things we want to make sure not to do.
One other quick comment on portable solar panels. If you look for a portable solar panel with a built-in charge controller, it'll be PWM.
Yeah.
Every time.
Every time.
Is that a brand name?
No, it's
pulse width
an
modulation.
acronym, pulse width modulation. It's like having, this is a bad analogy, but you'll understand. It's like switching power supplies versus linear power supplies.
Yeah.
Pulse width is the same kind of technology. It switches.
If you've ever listen to people drive around electric RC cars or other things, there's always a whine. That's a pulse width modulated signal to control the speed of the DC motor.
Right.
And so it's,
Oh, yeah.
so it's the same kind of technology, but what he's talking about is it's really sort of like they charge a capacitor up and then inject what the capacitor has going through a voltage controlled circuit. And so that's the mode of operation. Think about it that way, in that kind of a circuit. So that, because the energy coming out is varied. And so you got to get enough energy that you can drive the circuit to whatever voltage you need and have some current left over to charge with. Yeah.
I have a, Pro 4. It's a 12.8 volt, 50 amp hour. And I have a 240 watt panel at 30 volts coming in my controller. I left it on all night, all my radios on all night. And when I got up in the morning, everything was dark. I couldn't read anything on it at all. I was about to throw it away. A friend of mine loaned me a Pro 4 charger. And it acts like it came back full.
Yeah. And so that size cell will have a BMS that will do low voltage cutoff.
Okay.
And so you should be fine. The thing that we're talking about here with solar charging is that sometimes you have to have some circuit in the battery woke up with enough power to actually do the charging. And so the charger will provide that kind of power to sort of turn the battery on so that the BMS can run. It will open the circuit and start charging.
A solar panel didn't seem to help anything, but the charger, they loaned me, brought it back, and then the solar panel seems to keep it up.
Right. And it may be a PWM charger that's really the issue here as well. There's those kinds of issues.
It's the charge controller that your solar panel has or you've got in line.
Okay. I've got an MMP.
MPPT?
I bought a solar charger.
Okay.
That I was told was designed for the light bulb.
Okay.
That should have been MPPT and that should have worked.
Yeah, it should have presented the voltage to turn on the BMS.
I was about to send it to the dump, because I thought all my other batteries that I did that to went to the dump, none of the lead acids survived.
No.
Lead acids won't survive.
Yeah, they,
Keep in mind that those charge controllers, they have different charging profiles. And by default, it may or may not be set to LiPo 4 battery when you hook the thing up.
I've got mine set for the light bulb.
okay.
Okay.
It's set for that, and I bring 30 watts, 30 volts,
Yeah,
or whatever,
30 volts.
30
Okay.
volts into the charger and set it to charge my light bulb. Am I pretty safe in it being okay now?
Yeah, yeah, it should be okay. So this is the thing.
What you probably ran into then was the battery management system protecting the battery until the battery had sufficient energy to allow it to be used again. That would be my assumption. Again, based on some experience.
I got the 50 app, and I think considered adding another 50. Parallel with it.
Yeah, so parallel's fine.
Is it?
Yeah, parallel to that series,
Is
not
the new battery gonna try to charge the whole battery? No.
Parallel's fine because the BMS will still manage it. If that one battery may turn off if it discharges faster, but because you're in parallel, the other battery still runs. When you put it, yeah.
The key phrase that he just said is battery management system. If you put two batteries in parallel and both batteries have battery management systems, you're fine.
Okay.
If you do that and one of the batteries or both of the batteries do not have battery management systems, that's not fine.
Okay.
Yeah, because without the battery management system, you don't want to run the battery down. It takes, you have to be the one doing all this watching and controlling and managing.
So far, you've saved a lot of money.
Yeah,
We're gonna take this whole light out to the woods and run a camera off of it, but now I can't put it out there because I'll kill it.
no, so here's the deal. Lithium ion doesn't degrade the same way that you experience with nickel metal hydride or NiCad, right? What happens with lithium ion is that the capacity, the energy storage goes down. And so you may only get 4.5 hours out of it now instead of 5, if some degradation happened. But it doesn't turn out that we end up with damaged open circuits and other things because of just this kind of thing, running it low.
Cells just don't fail.
They just don't fail that way. Okay,
I mean, yeah, you'll get the same energy delivery for possibly less time.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And just to let you know, they do make, like, for example, West Mountain Radio has a battery analyzer that you can hook up to your battery, and you got software that runs on the computer, and it will put a load on that battery, and it will tell you what the performance of that battery is.
Yeah.
So it'll tell you, instead of, okay, it's running at 98% efficiency, or it's at 25% efficiency on the battery.
Yeah.
It'll tell you just exactly how much energy is available in the battery.
Yeah.
Well, he's the one.
I'm gonna show the links to all that stuff in just a minute.
West Mountain Radio is the company that has that one.
So,
I didn't talk about it.
okay,
All right, let's talk practicality, POTA, okay? I go out, park bench, bio battery, hook it up. It's bright sunlight, it's 95 degrees outside. Am I read that right, that I'm fine just sitting there on the park bench?
well, what I would do is put it in the shade. If,
Okay.
I would set your battery in the shade.
Put the battery under the table.
Put it under the table in the shade, have enough wire to do that.
Okay.
Because leaving it, look at the temperatures I'm talking about here. 40 to 110 is about where you want to be. Anything hotter or colder than that is when you start getting into the problems where the BMS can decide that it's too cold and you can't charge it. So your solar that you brought for backup won't charge it because it'll turn off charging. And your battery will continue to run down, but the BMS won't let it charge.
I was reading that 68 to 140.
Well, that is the dead area.
Okay, yeah,
When you get up above 110, now you're pushing your luck.
okay.
Okay,
So just keep it in the shade.
keep it in the shade.
I can tell you right now, one of those temperatures is wrong, because minus 20 degrees Celsius is not minus 68 Fahrenheit. It is not.
So
It's like 40 degrees Fahrenheit.
I went the wrong way. You're right. So excuse me. I did times 5 divided by 9 plus 32, and I should have gone the other way. It's
But to the gentleman who was asking about POTA, I mean, it depends on your battery size, but I haven't used a solar panel in the field now for years with the lithium iron phosphate batteries I use.
Yeah. So
30 amp hour battery will let you run 12 hours.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. So I mean, just think of it this way, right? Your battery on your radio says, I need 10 amps or 15 amps of 12-volt battery, of 12-volt power every time I transmit, right? And so, most of the time you would think of the 50% duty cycle, right? 50% of the time you're transmitting, the other half you're receiving, right? So the receive usage is maybe 2 amps or 1 amp or something, right? Yeah, normally it's not much. And so you just do that math and you say, okay, well, 30 amp hours is equivalent to 10 hours of transmitting at 3 amps or using 3 amps, right? And say, well, but I'm using 15 amps when I'm transmitting. Well, okay, so it's not 10 hours. But if you're just listening most of the time and doing some transmitting, like he's saying, you can go for half a day easily. It just really depends on how much you're transmitting. You just need to,
And your power.
and the total power, right? You can buy the 60 amp hour battery if you want. And so, all right, so here's BMS features. Then we've talked about most of these things, right? So there's low charge state power off, high power draw, may overheat the battery. So you just kind of have to think about if you've got it sitting out in the sun, you don't have shade and you're drawing power, that's going to create, because batteries have internal resistance, there's going to be some heating associated with the continuous power draw. And then there's features, as I say here, automated heating, automated battery cooling, in some cases for very, very large battery systems that are sort of rack mounted UPS kinds of batteries. Okay, so ultimately, like I was saying earlier, right now, there's just a handful of companies worldwide that are making battery cells. And there's others that are making battery cells for particular uses that aren't really the ones we're going to buy. What we're going to see in the cells, in the battery systems we buy, are prismatic cells that are big, fluffy looking, like almost like pillow cells that are stacked into about a box that meets some particular shape that's in a car or that's in a golf cart or some sort of thing like that, right? And so that's what's selling, because they're trying to get everybody to replace their lead acid batteries in their cars and in their other vehicles, and especially electric ones like electric golf carts, with these higher power density, lower weight batteries, because everyone wants that. And then there's the whole fishing industry that's doing the same thing. People are putting in 12-volt batteries for running their motor and 48-volt batteries for running all their computer systems for all the fish finders that they have. And they have all of this stuff and everyone's buying it. And so that's where the marketplace is building from, and why everyone's trying to jump in, because they're wanting to get the cell now, because everyone's going to buy everything and you might as well get in early. And so we have everybody building batteries. And so just be aware that that means that the competition and pricing is really about the quality of the built battery and the battery management system. The cells aren't going to create that much difference in ability of pricing, because these big companies that are building cells are not going to be sort of selling everybody special order different prices all the time. They're just going to be churning out cells and sending them to a distribution warehouse that's going to be then filling orders for the same price. And so when you see a battery and it says it's $700 for a 60 amp hour or 600 amp hour 12-volt battery, then that's probably, one price. But if you see another one that's $1,200 for the same size, do some research and figure out whether that $1,200 is really because that's a better company who's paying attention, has a warranty, has a replacement, strategy, will service you and help you take care of your battery, or are they just trying to get as many batteries out the door as they can with some sort of a BMS that might fail or might not do the right job for what you need because it doesn't have a particular feature. And many of these batteries also include a Bluetooth telephone app interface to the battery, so you can look at the battery when you're around the house with Bluetooth. You can just pull it up and see how much energy is in it and whether it's charging correctly or not, and all of those kinds of things. And so those are all things that have been going on for quite some time, but just recently I've had an explosion of advertising that I've seen, and I'm sure you all have probably done that too. And if you haven't, go look at a few battery advertisements and then look out, because it's going to come at you. Okay, so here's the ChatGPT URL, and I'll get this. I'll put this on Facebook so that everyone can go look at it. And like I said, if you've not used ChatGPT or you're scared of ChatGPT, don't be. Just go to this URL and you'll see my session, and you'll be able to type in questions and ask other things that, you can ask about particular vendors. You can ask about particular battery sizes and particular features of BMS and things like that. And ChatGPT will give you some things to look at, right? I mean, you'll have some words and some phrases and some company names and some things like that that you can do further research with. All right, so, oh, good grief. Then there's a bunch of links, all right? So ultimately, you can see the ISO Power, Epic Power Gate, PG40, Battery Boost, Power Guard, Power Check. All of those things are West Mountain Radio products. And if you go look up those names, or you go to westmountainradio.com and look at what's going on there, or at PowerWorks, they have them at PowerWorks, in particular, Power WERX sells all the West Mountain Radio stuff. And so you can go look there and find all of these things that are about using these external battery systems. Now, the thing to understand is that these are $100, $200, $400 kinds of things. So this is not cheap stuff, right? This is stuff that you need to pay attention to and say, to make the decision. I'm going to do this, and the reason why I need it is to help me get this done in the right way, and so I can spend that money to do that if that's what you need. If not, then pay attention to what batteries you're getting, so that you can say, okay, this is the way I'm gonna use it. It has a battery management system and I don't really have to care because the price is okay for me and it'll last, for the next 5-10 years and then I'll replace it when I need to.
Yeah, I bought an Epic Power Gate with my, setup that I made just before field day.
Yeah.
And it works great. With a single battery, it was telling me when I needed to charge it.
Yeah.
And so just.
And so,
switch it on,
and part of the detail about the BMS in the batteries, the reason why they're able to replace your car battery or some other battery that has an old lead acid, cell that was what was in there before, is because the BMS is taking care of managing the charge rate to the battery. And so you can send whatever current at it you want, and it's not going to damage the battery because lithium ion has a completely different charging curve than NiCad, as an example. So you can still plug an NiCad charger into a lithium ion battery that has a BMS, but it needs to have the BMS or you're gonna get yourself in trouble. So that kind of thing, and what he's talking about, the Epic Power Gate or the Power Gate from West Mountain Radio, is a power supply, solar power, power out, battery and power out device. And if you get the Epic version, it has another plug for a solar cell array.
Yep.
And so it's a charger controller that you can then hook up to an AGM cell, or you can hook it up to your lithium ion battery. And it will supply power to the battery from the solar cell, and it will use the solar power and the power supply to give you the output power that you use, so that you have three, basically three sources of power. If any two of them go out, you still have power.
Great. The Epic Power Gate had, when you first get it, you want to take the cover off, and then there's a little jumper that you move to select what battery type you're going to use on the Epic with that Epic. And so since I bought the LiPo 4 12-volt 30 amp hour, that's what I picked for my setup.
Yep.
And it works very well. I'm pleased with it.
Yep.
So
And
I'd recommend anybody getting more or doing it like I did, just go ahead and spend the cash, get what you need.
yeah. And there's all these choices. And so I hope that tonight I gave you at least something useful. It's just hard to cover everything. And
yes, it is.
And going after, if we go down now to building home power units for your, running your appliances and everything else, that's a completely different story.
Yeah.
But just buying a lithium ion battery to use, in the mode that like Mark was talking about, where you just have something you can carry around, you have a power gate, you have a solar cell, he could set out and run POTA all day long on that, because when he's not transmitting, the battery's charging from the solar cell anyway. And so you get all of the benefits of that. Any other questions?
One more comment for me, not an endorsement, but just an experience. Randy and I have both been buying 30 amp batteries from batteryhookup.com, $54.
Yeah.
Plus shipping and tax.
Yeah, but we've had zero problems with them so far.
I've been using mine for 2 years.
Yeah, and there are just so many choices, and that's what I was trying to hint at, is that you have to find what works for you. And the lower price ones are the only ones that scare me, just because of the things that I talked about. But but I'm just saying, clearly there's good product that's at a lower price.
But for somebody who just wants to dip their toe in the water and see what it's about,
It's a good thing.
$60.
Exactly. And like you said, that's all day long, right? I mean,
Well, like I said, I worked my 100-watt phone station field day all day Saturday, well into the night, and then came back Sunday morning. And somewhere around 10 or 11 o'clock Sunday morning is when the battery started showing signs of wearing. So
Is that a 20 amp hour?
30
amp hour.
30. Now the 20 I only use with my Scout, but I've gone all day with that.
And you said it was battery hookup?
batteryhookup.com.
Cool. All right, next on the list, Greg. AI5HP.
I should have brought this up here and plugged it in here.
Yeah, on the big black board that's hanging underneath the monitor.
Hanging.
No,
Nope.
that.
Oh, this one right here, sorry. Oops. It's that right there. All right. I just need to get to full screen there,
Box.
right there. All right. Okay, so Paul and I had a discussion. When was it, Paul? Back at the kind of the initial discussion was maybe back at the end of December last year, maybe? So really the discussion is how to make DMR great again. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to pull together a program, a DMR code plug for your radio for the greater Tulsa area, Northeast Oklahoma. Now, what ended up happening is we ended up including repeaters from all the way from Big Cabin, all the way down through the greater Tulsa area, down toward Oklahoma City, Norman, Edmond, Stillwater, Ponca City, Bartlesville. So we included DMR repeaters for all those locations. The other thing we included in this is analog repeaters. So I took, again, greater Tulsa area, all the analog, and by the way, a repeater book is your friend.
Yep.
Right? And do a proximity search and then do an export. So if you've got a radio and you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I get these repeaters? And they've got a bunch of export options, right? So repeater book, proximity search, that's the key. So that's what I did as kind of the source there. And you can see some other resources there, and I'll show you a list of the different zones that are in here in just a second. But we wanted to cover NOAA weather channels, WeatherNet. James provided us a list from Tulsa Area Emergency Management for basically hospital net, areas, different frequencies, areas we would use for areas, set events, etc. I'm sure James and Paul both had a hand in that. And then we wanted to establish a schedule of when we're going to provide updates to this thing. That doesn't mean that, hey, if you find an issue, that go ahead and send me a note. Let me know. I'll put it in my change log, and I'm tracking what those things are that we need to change on this thing, right? So if you find an error, let me know. We'll change it. We'll make sure we change it in the next revision of it. So this is a list of the zones that are in there. And I think there may be some more that were kind of off the bottom, but you can see. So what I did is in the analog repeater zone, there are also all of the W5IAS Superlink system. So even though some of those are outside the 50-mile radius, they're still in there. Okay, so right now today, I have this code plug available for an Anytone for an 878. That's their HT. This one right here, mine's over there in my bag. The 578, which is their mobile rig. The 168, which is their new HT, has a little bit less functionality in it, but it has a different price point than the 878 does. And as of Saturday, in the presentation I did for Rogers County Wire Association, we've got an Anytone 868, which is the older model. Now, problem with that one is yes, it's cheaper, less expensive, but it won't hold as many DMR IDs in it. So something to think about. Crossband repeat, that's only available on the 578 radio. But what we wanted to do was have a code plug
that you could plug into any of these radios. And what we do on the HTs is we just hide that zone in the radio. The 220 megahertz repeaters. So there's a fair number of 220 megahertz repeaters in the area, 1.25 meters. Those are in here as well. It won't work on your 878, so we hide the zone. We've got another zone for NOAA weather channels, another zone for APRS. So you've got digital, you got analog, and you've got APRS for the International Space Stations in there. Then these next few here, hotspots, 50 states, US regional. Those are all designed to be used with your hotspot, right? And you're saying, okay, well, some people have a hotspot, some people don't. Well, I've also got those same in the 50 states, US regional, those are also in there for those people that are relying on a DMR repeater to be able to use those same frequencies. Now, you're probably thinking, well, why did you duplicate those? Well, because if you later come back and you get a hotspot, going in there and manipulating all this channel information, trust me, doing it inside the CPS software is not the best option. So your best option is you import it into, you have to export it to a CSV file, pull it into Excel, modify it, save it back out to a CSV file, re-import it back into the code plug. Trust me. So, and by the way, you learn very quickly what order, and when you're going to make changes to this thing, like talk groups and channels and zones, you make sure that you do talk groups first, then you do channels, and then you do zones. Because if you import channels that are pointing to talk groups that aren't there, guess what? You get it, you're going to mess it up. And if you import zones before your channels are there, then guess what? You got to redo it. So anyway, then we get on into, so you can see a list of all the different DMR repeaters that are listed in there. Got Tulsa Central, Manford, Keatonville, Mounds, Muskogee, Fort Gibson, Big Cabin, Depew, couple in Oklahoma City, one in Norman, one in Edmond, couple in Bartlesville, Claremore, Stillwater, Ponca City, Chandler, Bixby, Leonard. The Ponca City one, I'll be there. I'm going to be there tomorrow, Paul, so I'll be able to actually test that one and make sure. The last test I had a setting wrong. So guess what? Anyway. And then TGIF. Well, TGIF, there aren't too many DMR repeaters around that are using TGIF network instead of Brandmeister. So these TGIF, you've got to have a hotspot to use them, but the DMR talk groups for TGIF are in the talk group list. And so if you've got a hotspot, those TGIF talk groups in there, and I've got all 50 states for the TGIF talk groups are in that talk group along with a few others. So again, we talked about what radios can use this code plug, and I will update this to include the 868 as well. And then the plan is to add on more future, other DMR radios. Right now, I've got requests for a BTEC DMR 6x2 Pro, which that one's really easy because you can take an Anytone, all the exported files, you can import it, and then resave it as a BTEC code plug, and you're fine. However, the same can't be said for the Baofeng DM1701, the Radioddity GD88, or the TYT MD UV 380, 390. Those, they're talk groups. So all of the export files from this code plug, when you go to import them, the column headings in the import file are different, and they're in a different order. So you have to get the column heading exactly right, letter for letter, space for space, and you have to have it in the right order, because otherwise it won't go. Well, the talk groups are easy because there's only about 4 or 5 columns, but the channels, there's a number of different channels in here, and trust me, there's like 25 columns in here on this spreadsheet, right? And all those column headings have to match and have to be in the right order. So it's a real pain to go through and get them sorted and get them in the right order and make sure everything's exact. So to be quite candid, I'm not going to publish it out there until I'm absolutely certain. And then the other problem is I don't have any one of these bottom 4 radios. So,
Are you open to others that do have those radios contributing to the cause and doing those code plugs up if they're converted? So if somebody else has a radio that's worth converted over.
yeah, are we talking about a different code plug, or are we talking about? Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
So, this one right here, this is a QR code. It's also the URL for where the code plug is. You're saying you're looking at that link and you're going, it's on the back of the agenda. You're looking at that and you're going, well, that's on my OneDrive, and it's public. And for those of you that don't have a OneDrive, because I've had a number of people tell me this, they say, I don't have a OneDrive account. Well, guess what? You don't need one. You just need that link to be able to go out there and get it. And by the way, if you need help getting it in there, I've got a list of about 12 different people at this point that I've helped get that code plug installed on the radios and make sure it works. Matter of fact, Paul, the last one that we talked about, I've got to follow up with him. I let him know, I said, hey, I want to make sure I get the latest changes in there, and then we'll get you moved over. So.
Do you have the raw data, like on a spreadsheet or something?
Yeah.
Complete online there that we can look at?
Well, I don't have it in that deal. I've actually got it on this thumb drive. I could pull it up and look at it, but
The reason I'm asking is I use Motorola radios.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I got it.
I know 2 other people doing that, and so I have to do it all myself.
Yeah, yeah.
So if I have, sometimes the sources I've been using aren't up to date.
Who is that that's speaking?
Jerry, AC5J.
I need to get with you. Because I have a Motorola radio as well.
And I'm willing to work out a code plug and share it if there's interest.
Yeah. Well, and that was really my challenge, is like, okay, here's what I can tell you is I have Anytone radios. And so it's really easy. I've been working with mine for over about 3.5 years. And so I know those radios pretty well.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying the other ones are bad, not saying that at all. Obviously, Motorola got us started in DMR, right? So
it is a love-hate relationship.
Well, exactly. So go ahead.
Tell me about the 50-state deal that you listed on it. I travel to Arkansas occasionally, and Arkansas has the DMR repeater.
Yeah. So that 50 states, what that is the main state DMR talk group for that particular state. So in the 50 states, what makes up that zone is there's North America, and then I have the main DMR talk group for each of the 50 states in that group. Then for TGIF, which oddly enough, when I first started this, there wasn't a main talk group for all 50 states. There was about 5 or 6 of them that were missing. That seemed kind of weird to me. And TGIF, that was really strange, but they're all in there now. So, all right, these are just some other resources. So the top one is the YouTube channel where I publish videos. The latest video I did one previously on the 578, and I went in a lot of detail, Anytone 578. I went into a lot of detail about how I actually built the code plug and how I actually put the channels into the CPS software. The one that I just recently published is for the 878, and it talks a little bit more about, okay, how did I get those channels? How did I get those zones in there? Because guess what? I wasn't planning on rekeying all these one deal at a time. So I talked about that. Now the 868, Anytone 868 that I just did this week on Saturday for a gentleman, I'm going to do a video on that one. And I literally took the 878 export. I imported it into the 868 software. I captured all the errors, which turned out don't matter because 868 don't have any of those features, right? What was interesting was when I imported it in, the zones were messed up, and I thought, okay, great, I'm gonna have to go in and I'm gonna have to redo all these zones and reassign all the channels to the zones, and trust me, that takes a while. But it turns out I learned a few extra tricks along the way, and I was able to re-import the zone file and up and going. So then you plug in your radio ID or your DMR ID, your call sign, and then you go into the optional settings and power on settings, and where you typically put like your name and your call sign. I always do that on my radio. So you can power on a radio and say, okay, well, yeah, that's my radio. Because if you see a bunch of Anytone 878 sitting on a table, you're going, okay, well, is that mine, or is that Mark's, or is that Paul's, or who is that? Yeah. Yeah, Ian is another one. And then I've got my email address there. That's what I have listed there on QRZ. So if anybody has any questions or comments or whatever, they can email me there.
Hey, Greg,
Yes, sir.
give the disclaimer about, the rev level matching thing. So that when you're programming, you get the thing. Firmware.
Yeah, okay. So right now, the Anytone 578, and do we have internet access on this? Do you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you notice I clicked on that and notice it has sign in up here. So again, we're on a PC, doesn't require doesn't require you to have a OneDrive account. Drops you off in this folder, and notice it says DMR. I put Anytone in here first because eventually there'll be other folders for other different radio manufacturers in there.
Are you planning to do anything with Yaesu or Kenwood radios or any of the other,
Well,
the mainstream?
Yaesu doesn't make a DMR radio that I'm aware of. They're Yaesu System Fusion.
I got a bunch of that, Greg.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we could put it out there, but
On the White River, brown trout don't just eat all the time. Sorry.
yeah, no worries. All right, so what Paul said, what I want to show you, oh, by the way, before I get into this, I want to show you, that's my change log. And you can see I've got the change log in there of what did I add to this call and what did I add to this code plug, right? So this particular revision, I added the Chandler DMR repeater, the Bixby Leonard repeater in the list. There was a corrected PL tone that needed to be adjusted on one entry there. The 500-hour record, several people have asked me about that. It turns out they used to have a module that you could plug into these radios and it would give you 500-hour record time on the radio itself. Well, turns out it was either that module or the Bluetooth module. Well, so the 500-hour record module isn't in there anymore. So on the APRS, where you want it to APRS beacon using the radio, because like the 878, for example, it has full APRS, digital and analog. The 578 has full APRS, digital and analog. The 168, not so much.
Are you talking about the version, the newest version of 878 or the older version?
Either
older
one.
Version had some limitation on its APRS functionality. The newer version of the 878, I think, is complete.
Yeah, yeah. So the 878 UV2 Plus is the one that I'm referring to specifically. Like the 868, for example, it doesn't have the same level of functionality that the 878 has. Right. The 168 doesn't have the same level of APRS functionality.
Yeah, there's two versions of the 878.
You are correct. You are correct. Just like on the 578, there's a UV3 Pro and a UV3 Plus. So, but anyway, just some updated settings and making sure that the settings for these code plugs, that those settings in there are correct. Right? So let me go back and get back to Paul's comment here. Now, I'm just gonna, well, we've been talking about the 878 a lot. So let's just show you. So I've got an old folder. That's all the old ones that I had in there. But the current one, you see this one right here, this is an RDT file. Wondering, well, what the heck's RDT file? So if you'll notice my naming convention, I've got Northeast Oklahoma code plug, Anytone D878 2 plus version 305 master, and then it lists a date, and then I've got like an alpha character. So my first revision of the day has got the date and it has alpha. The second revision has B. The second revision has C. Anytime you make a little tweak, you resave it under a different name. That's just my IT background. Anyway, RDT file. So if you have an 878 UV2 plus and it has version firmware 304, you could literally load that RDT file into your radio, go in and put your DMR ID, your call sign, go to the optional settings and, in there and put in under the APRS section, and you can put in your call sign in there, what sending text you wanted. You go in under optional and power on display, and you put like your name and your call sign in there, save it, write it to your radio, and you're ready to go. Right? Now, interestingly enough, if you get a baseband error when you go to load that into your radio, then the number one thing I'll tell you is read from your radio first, import all the files into your code plug that you just read from your radio, save it under a different name, and write it back to your radio. That's rule number one if you get a baseband error. But in the zip file, what that zip file has is it has an LST file, which is basically a text file. And that text file, what it has in it is it has all the CSV files for radio ID, for channels, for zones, for talk groups, for APRS. All these settings are in there, right? Including the digital contact list. So the digital contact list that's in here is current and up to date as of July the 8th, right? Now, if you have a different version of firmware on your radio, which is, sorry to be such a long-winded explanation, Paul, to what you asked, if you, let's say you have, hopefully you don't have 305, 306, or 307 they pulled, but if you got 308 as an example, version 308 firmware, you literally have to use the LST file and all the CSV files to import it. Because it won't pull in the 304 version, it'll be the wrong version for that software. Now, if you come back over here to the 578, the mobile rig, it's version 121. So, but it's the same setup. And you notice the naming convention, extremely similar, but it has a very descriptive name to it. It has a very specific, a lot of detail in the name of the file, because if somebody were to call me because they downloaded it and they're trying to import it and they're asking me a question, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, read me the name of your file, because it matters. And then I'm going to tell you to go to settings and other information, and you're going to scroll through the list until you get to your firmware version. And so, and then the 168, and I will put the code plug up here. It'll be probably sometime this weekend, but the 168, again, same thing. So, but I'll make another folder at this point in here. Another folder has the 868 in here. And then, like I said, as we get other models of DMR radio that I get this code plug for, to be able to get it converted over, and we put those in there. We'll put like TYT or radiology or whatever, and then we'll have a different folder, next folder level down for the different model of radios. And what I can tell you is some of them, if I can import those CSV files right in, that's pretty straightforward. That's pretty easy, short to get us there. But if it's one of those cases where it's going to take, where all the field names are different and all that stuff, then guess what? It's going to take a bit for me to get it there. So, any other questions?
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
These are the kind of meetings I like, where I don't have to do all the talking.
We miss your voice.
Oh, yeah, sure you do. All right, we just got a couple of quick things, and then we'll be out of here. Just a repeater update. All of the TARC repeaters are operational. We're trying to keep this updated as much as possible. We've held off moving the COM1 trailer until the week of the 21st, which will be next week. Steve and Tim Morgan, can't remember his call sign. Then it'll be moved along with storage, hopefully, over to Riverside Drive and 121st. I'm sorry, Riverside Drive and 101st. So more to come on that. The ham appreciation letter. Daryl, thank you. Let's see, Daryl wrote this to me. He said, I thought I might make a comment about one of our new members. Aiden Lewis, KF0DST, is from Broomfield, Colorado. I think he holds the record now for the furthest distance and still being a club member. It used to be Nebraska. And he works at the ham radio outlet in Denver. I've bought several pieces of ham gear from him and found that although he's about the youngest guy in the ham store, he is quite knowledgeable about a wide range of radios, tuners, and antennas, and a CW enthusiast as well. He has become my go-to guy for any questions regarding the purchase, regarding a purchase I'm considering, and he gladly takes the time to answer questions. And so some more of that, and he does CW. He participates in the CW Nervous Novice Net on Monday nights. So we now have a solid Oklahoma HRO connection and a lot of goodwill there in Denver. So if you got questions about something and need somebody to answer, call Aiden, right? And he is a club member. Just let him know that you're a club member, and he is a club member.
Foxtrot Sierra Delta Sierra Tango.
Foxtrot Sierra Tango.
Foxtrot Sierra Tango.
Yeah. I'm sorry, KF0, Kilo Foxtrot 0 Delta Sierra Tango.
Okay.
Yeah. So keep that in mind. Next time you're looking for equipment or you're going to make a purchase, talk to Aiden. Anything new? Is the apparel store open now?
Yes, it is open now. It will be open through the club meeting in August. And then you'll have about 2 weeks after that, you should have everything either sent to you or you'll pick it up. And we will have one other opening before Christmas. The end of this one, so you can get stuff for Christmas.
Yep.
That makes sense?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's open now. That's the main.
It is open now.
So if anybody's looking for a nice shirt, we've got it. If you are an Aries member, how many Aries members are in here? Yeah, a whole bunch. Cool. All right. You should be checking into the AriesNet on Thursdays. We had, I think, 14 or 15 last Thursday, which is the most there's been in several weeks. And also, if you're an Aries member or not an Aries member, but you want to find out what it's all about, Wednesday, July 23rd, put that on your calendar, 6:30 PM, right here. We're gonna talk about the comp plan, Aries comp plan. We're gonna talk about go bags. If you have a go bag, bring it. What else are we gonna talk about? I know it's in here somewhere. Anyway. Aries, bring it. Come on. Yes. If you have not renewed your dues, you are off the roster. So make sure that you do that if you want to stay on the roster and get all of the nice perks that being a TARC member. The next tech night, August 5th, Jeff, AE5ME, is going to be talking about FT8. Why are we doing FT8, Jack?
A lot of people have been asking.
A lot of people have been asking about it. He is able, go ahead.
Yeah, I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
say, our website traffic, the number 2, other than the homepage, is about FT8 gear. There's frequencies or just FT8 in general. So there's a lot of people wondering, a lot of people asking, there's still field day, 2 or 3 people saying, I don't know about it, or how do we do this?
And since Jeff is our digital master, and they can bring their own equipment if they need help with setting it up. So that is the next tech night, again, right here. It's at 6:30, not 7. It's at 6:30, not 7. 6:30, not 7. And then the next meeting, August 19th, it's not here. 6 o'clock at Chandler Park. As you drive up the hill, the first rock gazebo that you come to on the left-hand side, there's a picnic area, some picnic tables on one side, there's a fireplace in the middle, picnic tables on the other side. That's where we're gonna be. We're gonna be in one of those areas. Ice cream, all the toppings, all that good stuff. We'll have it there. It's the ice cream social.
6:30.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. Yep. So go have a nice dinner, come over and have some ice cream. Last year, we must have had about 30 to 35 that showed up. It was a good crowd. Yeah, and I've ordered the good weather too.
You did that for field day too, didn't you?
I did for field day.
It was on back order.
Yeah, well, the rain, I couldn't help the rain, but,
August what?
that's August 19th, 6 o'clock. And this is the 90th anniversary of Aries, just to let you know. It goes along with our Aries meeting. And what else is coming up?
Route 66 on the air.
Yay.
Route 66 on the air. We're gonna look at doing some different things this year, possibly with RCWA, maybe. So maybe Blue Whale. Maybe someplace else here in Tulsa. We're kind of working on that, but keep that in mind. That's like the 6th through the 14th, I think, or 15th, something like that in September. So we're gonna see more information on that.
This isn't the 100th anniversary, right?
Next year.
It is next year.
Next year, yes.
Because some of us thought it would be really cool if we could convince our local POTA coordinator to declare the Blue Whale a POTA site for next year.
Oh, yeah. Maybe. I also have some of these stickers. If you want to put them on the back of your car, let me know. I've got a whole bunch of them. Yet. So, so we driving around town, everybody knows you're part of the club. Anybody have anything else?
I got a quick comment.
Go ahead, Tony.
Okay, I'm sure several of you in the room know Brian, KB6LZJ. He has recently moved back to Broken Arrow after a couple of year hiatus. He checked into our net last night and was very pleased to hear it. But he announced that he had an HF radio for sale, and if anybody would be interested, he did not quote a price. It's a Yaesu FT 450 Delta. Good little radio. But he said that if anybody was interested, to reach out to him via email at his call sign, again, Kilo Bravo 6, Lima Zulu Juliet at papamike.mikeecho, pm.me.
Okay.
And he's a good guy. And I know he said that he tested the radio over the 13 colonies and makes contact with 6. So even though band conditions are still terrible, he was able to do 6.
Yeah.
So
Who
there
did,
you have it.
who did 13 colonies,
I did.
by the way?
I
Did you
got
get them all? Did you get them all?
I
Did
get it.
you get them all?
I got them all.
Did you get them
That was a
all?
bonus.
You didn't get them all? Oh.
Randy
my
got
God.
them all.
Well, I had split between,
You're talking about
single
13
side
colonies.
band, and CW.
Yeah.
I was trying to get all CW.
Yeah. By the way, too, if you're looking for an HF radio and you're not interested in a TS 440, there's also a couple of Drakes in here that if you're interested. Main trading company right now, you know, they get used gear in. They've got a whole bunch of good HF radios. They're like $1,000 and under. So, and they're good high-end radios. Yeah,
All right, just a
Main
quick
trading.
update for everybody, and there's something they may be aware of, but it's something that may not. I'm gonna say it very briefly here. Over the weekend, we had a situation happen with M17 that quite honestly was pretty bad as far as the impact that it had on repeaters and hotspots. Jonathan Naylor, who is the person that writes the MMDVM software, originated in 2015, single-handedly on Wednesday of last week, changed his repository to take all the M17 support out of his software. Did not inform anybody of that situation. Chip Cusio, who runs the WPSD software, in a similar fashion, made changes to his software on Friday, didn't tell anybody, but Saturday morning, we suddenly had hotspots and repeaters all around the world going off the air. My personal opinion, that's not the part of amateur radio that we should act like. And when it happened, I had actually the M17 software, the M17 net that I do on Saturday. I was able to do some quick moves on the Rogers County repeater to keep that net on the air. But subsequent to that, like I said, it wasn't a good show there. Bottom line is that as of today, the M17 Foundation has decided to no longer support Jonathan Naylor. Jonathan Naylor has gone on the record that he will no longer support M17. Pretty petty. I don't like to take sides and stuff, what have you. Bottom line is everybody's entitled to have opinions like that. The difference in opinions are a good thing, but you don't take people off the air in the process. Be like Greg suddenly turning off all the repeaters and saying he had, a problem with the way the club was being done. Just don't get any ideas here.
Yeah.
All joking aside, it was a pretty stressful thing like that went on through there. Bottom line that's come out of this is the repository for the MMDVM software has been forked. The M17 Foundation will be developing a different branch of that software in the future that will support M17 and other modes. Jonathan Naylor has gone on the record that he will be trying to come up with a different open source voice mode for amateur radio, and I wish him the best of luck on that because, hey, more people are doing this. It's kind of funny, 10 years ago, nobody had these ideas. If we have 2 people developing, put a little bit of competition to this, but I want to assure everybody that M17 is moving forward. The foundation hasn't gone away. Your M17 radios still work, and there will be things done so that your hotspots and repeaters do support that. So it was a stressful time on Saturday. It's passed. People have agreed to disagree. Now they're just moving on forward. Jonathan Naylor did post a big public reason why he no longer supports M17. The M17 Foundation, as of this evening, has posted a rebuttal to it. I encourage people to read both sides of this because there are valid points on both sides of this. But at the end of the day, amateur radio will move forward. We'll continue to innovate and do the things that we do. And M17 will continue to move forward. And we're very excited about the things that are going on there. It's unfortunate that Mr. Naylor doesn't want to be part of it, but he's allowed to do those types of things. But just want everybody, there's been a lot of panic. As people know, Jerry out at Connect Systems has been a big ardent supporter of M17, and this caught him by surprise in the whole thing. So he's had to explain to people, hey, your radios aren't rigged, things haven't gone away, and things of that sort. But there'll be further postings on the Rogers County Wireless Association site, as well as the M17 Foundation Facebook site as well, with some of the details of how you get your hotspot to work around this issue and everything else. But people will continue to be supported, and I appreciate everybody's patience when we went through this road bump on the whole thing there. Like I said, everybody, when you do open source development, there's always going to be difference in opinions. That's a healthy thing right there. And I absolutely, Jonathan's intended his opinions. I've never doubted it. I'm still a very ardent supporter of Jonathan because he's done a lot for the hobby. But I also wanted to represent Saturday that this is probably one of the stupidest moves that anybody can do, because it just gets everybody else in the middle into something that didn't need to be there and kind of created a panic. But we made it through it, and we're looking forward to the future of M17, or even other things that Jonathan comes up with will be great in there. He's promised he won't name it M16 after what happened.
Any questions, comments, answers? Yes, sir. We'll save it for next time. Yes, sir.
Tonight's posting for batteries and DMR on the website already.
We have 37 here tonight. It's a good crowd. Don't forget about the Aries meeting. Anybody else? Motion to adjourn? W5JHC.
Second, third.
KD5 SNF.
Yes.
85,
Yes.
Dude.
I will.
Love